Welcome to Playback Appeal. We are the Rap Geeks. My name is Sean,
And my name is Lizzie the Baby.
and today we're discussing the one and only 666, Memphis's greatest 3-6 Mafia. Mafia!
666.
And we're reviewing the album that they put out 20 years ago from today, known as When the Smoke Clears 66 61 on Loud Records. 3-6 Mafia.
Yeah, ho.
All right. 3-6 Mafia, if you don't know, and if you don't know, I don't know why you're even here, but I'm glad you are. I'm glad you're here to learn. They are probably Memphis's most well-known hip-hop group. And at one point, they might have even been the biggest hip-hop group in the world. So Memphis, 666 Mafia, 3-6 Mafia, Tear the Club Up Things, Backyard Posse, The Mafia 6. They've had a lot of names, but one thing has stayed consistent. This was the final album that had their original lineup of DJ Paul, Juicy J, Gangsta Boo, Crunchy Black, Lord Infamous, and Koopsta Nika. And some would say that what makes this album so different from all of their previous work, such as Mystic Styles, Chapter 2, World Domination, Chapter 1, The End, is this was when the crunk era began to really take shape.
Yeah, ho.
And 3-6 Mafia was no stranger to it. In fact, they took the music that they've already been making, the Memphis trap, I would say pre-trap, horrorcore type of music, and mixed it with their own sound. And that gave us the album we're reviewing today, When the Smoke Clears.
Yeah, ho.
Yep. So let's get into it. We'll make this really short. This album is legendary, don't get me wrong. For 2000, this is probably what I would be bumping. But there is no song that's better than the lead single of this album. A single that is so great, it has influenced for 20 years later countless deaths associated with the drug promethazine mixed with codeine, cough syrup, and 7-Eleven or Sprite with some Jolly Ranchers. Sippin' on Some Syrup featuring UGK and Project Pat. What do you got to say about that track?
I gotta say, I love that song so much. I listen to the acapella. That cadence, that flow is so addicting. You know? You know what I mean? Just
And no one
that.
does it better than Pimp C. Man.
Yeah. That man. That song, I remember first hearing it in middle school, man. You know, that might have been 2004, not too long. I mean, 4 years after that, that song was still relevant. I remember hearing it on SoundClick. Y'all remember SoundClick? You know, probably
I
one of
don't.
the first SoundCloud ever. That was when I started.
Right.
That was when I started hearing 3-6 on SoundClick. I don't know, people were just uploading the music, but that's a goddamn good song, yo. And I think that one song itself has influenced many songs, not just the deaths, but a lot of songs were made because of that one song.
Right. And I would say I would go as far as I don't think it's their most famous song. I would say probably their most famous song is
International Plays Anthem.
I go ha
Okay, sure.
to the sky and but UGK Houston mixed with 3-6 Mafia Memphis
You know,
makes for a beautiful marriage.
yeah, I gotta talk about that because you know one thing I appreciated about this album was they showed love to the South, man. This album
Oh,
is
this is as south as it gets,
this is
bro.
as South as it gets, man. And one thing that's particular to the South, and you're from LA, so I gotta dig you on this one, but I gotta dig at you on this one because the South, one thing that they always did, and Killer Mike mentioned this, but there's always this back and forth between male and female rappers. You know what I mean? In this particular song, you got a male rapping, you know, I'm bad, I'm nice, you know what I mean? Like I do this, I do that, and then you got a callback, you got a response from the female, maybe 8 bars later, talking about I do that same shit, you know what I mean? I'm fucking doing this and that too, and so they showed
Are you
love to
talking
the
about sipping on
females.
some syrup?
No, I'm talking about just the whole album.
The whole album itself. So you're talking specifically about Gangsta Boo,
Yeah,
who is the female rapper on this album. And when I think about it, Gangsta Boo is probably highly underrated as an MC, not in terms of her ability, but purely just in terms of her ability to be a badass bitch and to
hmm
be okay with the identity. I mean, if you've heard Love Again, which is a song that's featured on Run the Jewels #2, she's talking about dudes sucking on her clit. She's talking about dudes kneeling down and that they're gonna give her nice wood. And I think that to speak about that as a female, to really just be about that, the only people I hear in modern times that rap like that are those two Bay Area women rappers. You know who I'm talking about?
Saweetie,
Saweetie and featured in YG.
uh,
Starts with a K.
Kalani.
Kamaya.
Oh,
Kamaya.
Kamaya. Wow.
Kamaya.
Huh.
I'm thinking about Kamaya. And I'm
Nah,
even
bro.
thinking maybe it even goes to Megan the Stallion.
Yeah, all the way there.
All the way to Megan the Stallion. And you know who else? Maybe even the one chick from Minnesota. What's her name?
Oh, is she still alive? We talking about? Oh no, we talking about somebody else.
The really thick and chunky one.
Oh, okay, sure. Yeah, yeah. But you know
What's
what?
her name?
The one that had her ass open at the LA game.
Yeah. The Lakers game. Yeah, what's her name?
Shit. Lizzo.
She's big. Lizzo. Okay. Gangsta Boo was the original Kamaya, Lizzo,
Well, look, no.
Saweetie,
I gotta push
Megan
back
the
on this one,
Stallion.
bro. Are we forgetting Lil Kim? Are we forgetting Junior Mafia? And look, I know Lil Kim, some Big probably wrote some of her lyrics, you know what I mean?
Right.
And made that character. And it maybe paved the way for somebody like a Gangsta Boo, and then all that followed. But you're right in that people don't bring Gangsta Boo up like that.
But right. And Lil Kim has had one too many procedures done to make her look like a cat. So in just in terms of being all natural and just really being thug and
Right.
hood,
For real, just
you
being
gotta
thug.
give Gangsta Boo. You
Mhm.
gotta give Gangsta Boo the credit, man. And,
Yeah.
and she doesn't get that credit.
Right. She not about the rah-rah. That Southern hospitality. Real shit. Real bitch.
And the way she raps is aggressive too. I mean, we used to think that old Nicki Minaj before she signed with Young Money was aggressive. We used to think that Azalea, I don't even know how to say her damn name.
Lizzie
aggressive.
Australia.
Lizzie,
Iggy Australia.
Nick Young's ex. Let's just say Nick Young's ex was aggressive, but Gangsta Boo is really about the shit. I have no doubt in my mind. Push come to shove, she gonna pull the trigger, bro.
And you know what? She's a great performer. I saw her in San Jose performing alongside Killer Mike at a Run the Jewels concert.
Right?
And
How was that?
Man, I was very impressed. I mean, they're older rappers, and the way they rap, it takes a lot of breath. They still got air in their lungs
They got
too.
the cardio, bro. I mean, I've seen Killer Mike rap, Run the Jewels live 3 times. I'm impressed for a guy that's probably obese,
Yeah,
well over 400, I would say.
yeah,
He's got stamina with his voice, man. He's got stamina with that vocal cord.
yeah. And just to go on the topic of old rappers rapping their ass off, Jay-Z, he can still rap his ass off.
But he's kept in pretty good shape, I would say. When you date Beyonce, you gotta have you gotta be kinda in shape. You can't just be a slob.
For sure.
You can't look like most of the people on 3-6 Mafia, like a DJ Paul or a Bun B.
Look, you can't be sipping
You know what
lean.
I mean? I don't think he's sipping lean. I don't even know if that dude's ever tried lean.
Right. Okay, hey yo, by the way though, let's if we could just go back to sipping on syrup really quick. That song made me think about Cushion OJ, man. And it reminded me on how well Wiz capitalized on the feeling that sipping on syrup created, you know? I think he encapsulated
I don't
that
know,
whole
man.
sound in Cushion OJ as a whole.
Maybe, maybe
You don't think
not.
that?
No,
Probably
I
for
don't
some
think Cushion
songs.
OJ makes me feel like I'm sipping lean. If I want to hear music that makes me feel like I'm sipping lean, I'm gonna go back to ASAP Rocky's "Live Love ASAP." That album, especially with the Space Ghost Perp produced songs, makes me feel like I'm sipping lean. 3 6 Mafia, what makes them so goddamn hardcore, makes them so gangsta, is that they were doing more than just lean, man. I mean, they were doing more than the weed. They were doing more than the alcohol. They were doing more than the lean. They were doing X pills. They were doing cocaine. They were probably doing Valium. I think the way their lifestyle was, the way they portrayed their music, it really was that way. It really was music about fucking bitches. It
Yep.
was about doing drugs. It was about violence. And you know what? That probably comes and Juicy J, man. The guy has, I don't know if he's so relevant now in 2020, but for much of the 2010s, he had a resurgence, bro. He had a resurgence after signing with Taylor Gang, and his mixtape, I was listening to it today, Blue Dream and Lean, for me, and produced by Lex Luger. Some of the hardest hitting rap, trap, 808s, southern smoke type of hip hop that ever came out of that era of hip hop.
I agree. Probably next to Two Chains, Juicy J had one of the biggest, career revivals in the 2010s.
Right. Right. And it's a little sad that the other artists think, not to say Lord Infamous isn't also, to me, Lord Infamous might even be the best rapper, the
Mm,
best traditional rapper on the group, you know?
yeah.
But, and rest in peace to his soul. But when they
Yes.
came up with the Mafia 6 and they came up with those 2 albums they did, I mean, the production was there. You know, DJ Paul's producing it. They even had Space Ghost Perp. They even got Yellow Wolf on a track or two. But something became very apparent to me that Juicy J, he's the signature. His sound, DJ Paul and Juicy J, they're really the crux of 3 6 Mafia. I don't know if you would agree with that.
I agree, man. And you know what? There is a lot to say about Juicy J could still rap on music that's going on right now simply for the fact that it's all a bite off of the sounds that come straight from this album.
Right. Like a song like Who Run It, where they have that blasting trombone, where they have that horn, and it reminds me of a Rocky movie. I think that the way he attacks that is very similar to the way he would attack his I think it was Green and Purple that he was featured on with Travis Scott. His attack is the same. He's always attacking every single one of these songs the same, whether it's weak ass bitch, whether it's mafia, whether it's fuck y'all hoes, all of these amazing songs that are probably terrible and I would never want a child to listen to is the reason why we love 3 6 Mafia, because they stayed true to what they were talking about.
Yeah.
And they weren't doing it just for money. They were really about that life. And you got to respect that.
Yeah, this album was all about sipping and snorting, poing and pimping.
Right. And I think that in some ways, Tennessee has especially Memphis, if you think about a Memphis as a place historical for blues culture, but I would say also historical for pimp culture.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that's true. Um and you know what's interesting about this album and the aesthetic of 3 6 Mafia. And I don't know if they've always been like this, but the fact that they kind of took a devil, a devil type of vibe on this album. Were they always like that?
Actually, they were darker.
Darker.
So their first, yeah. So I would say their first album reminds me of what is that rap the R&B rap group that you have a T-shirt of?
R&B.
They're like soul rap from Cleveland, Ohio.
Oh,
Bone Thugs and
Bone Thugs
Harmony.
and Harmony, yeah.
They were a little bit more like Bone Thugs and Harmony,
Mm.
just no harmony. They were just Bone Thugs, bro.
Yeah.
So that's the only way I can really describe it. And this album is where they went a little bit more towards a Master P.
Did you
A
call them
little
an
bit more.
R&B group?
Well, they vocalize. So anything
For
with
sure.
vocal and harmony, I'm gonna call R&B.
Yeah, that's so funny. But you're right. You're
Yeah,
absolutely
don't get
right.
me
They're
wrong.
definitely on some devil shit. You know what I mean? Ouija, are you with me? You know what I mean? Mo murder, mo murder, mo murder,
Right.
right? And you know what? It is, dude, the connection between Bone Thugs and Lord Finesse, right? I don't know who was
Lord
first.
Infamous
It,
or
Lord
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 Finesse?
I mean Lord, I'm sorry, Lord Infamous.
Okay.
Because their rap style were very close. I didn't really check the timeline and the history, before this talk, but we saw that freestyle right before we started recording, right?
The triplet rapping on the
Right.
thirds. Yeah.
Right, right.
Yep.
So, between Bone Thugs and who was first? Right? That's
It's probably Bone Thugs. It's probably Bone Thugs. I'll give him that credit because Bone Thugs had the speed too, and that's not something that 3-6 really was trying to be. They were slow, right, for the most part. So Bone Thugs had the speed. I mean, if it weren't for Lord Infamous, would there be a prolific of a rapper as a ASAP Ferg, who we know ASAP Mob as a whole is highly influenced by both Bone Thugs and 3-6 Mafia. And so the influences of 3-6 Mafia, I think you mentioned this while we were listening to the album, kind of going through it. New York, I mean, Computers, Rowdy Rebel.
Yep.
Expand on that.
Oh man. So a lot of the style, I think, for trap music today can be traced back, and I was specifically talking about the arpeggiated pianos, which is a sign of, some trapping's about to happen. You know what I mean? Lex Luger, a lot of his early work I tried to copy, and a big part of that I was taking a piano and just making a melody with it and just looping that bitch, throwing the Lex Luger drum kit on top of that, and there you go. You got a trap joint. Throw a bell on top of that as well. Um, so yeah, I mean, dude, that's highly influential and copied today for sure.
Right, right. And and the and I would say what makes 3-6 Mafia is a little bit of what I like about Danny Brown when he first came out.
Go on that.
It's dirty. It's grimy.
Yep.
It's a lot of just pervert rap. It's a lot of treating
Unapologetic.
women, yeah, unapologetically treating
Perverted.
women like shit
Yeah.
in their music,
Right.
right?
And we saw that interview. You know what I mean? I feel like they made that poor interviewer look so uncomfortable.
Yeah. Yeah. They literally asked, I think they put the microphone on Koopsta and said, "What's the album about?" And they said, "Well, it's more shit about taking drugs, drinking alcohol, fucking bitches." You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It was like, well, that if that's what you want, 3-6 is there.
Yeah. No apologies about it either. And they really lived that. And you gotta appreciate the figures in hip hop that have been pretty much the same people throughout their whole career. And that I think translates to their success in their whole career. We're talking about people like Juicy J. Haven't no, there was no facade. That fool was still the same as people like Snoop. You know what I mean? And then people that are gonna be like Wiz later on. You know, and I think being true to that, it it makes for a great career for sure.
So one thing I want to ask you that really stuck out to me is the features. There's not that many,
Not that many, but
but
they're all from the South.
but there's a couple that I want to bring out,
Mm.
and this had let's talk about just another crazy click, a song that has both Twisted and Insane Clown Posse.
Yeah, dude, I listen to that, and I don't listen to either of those artists, but I specifically listened in on that just to see, how they were coming. And I think they stayed true to whatever their sound was, but I'm imagining at the time how pushing the limit maybe that was back then, right? I mean, we're talking about white rappers, but
Yeah, I
where
know.
are they from again? ICP is
Well, ICP's from Detroit. Twisted, yeah, also Detroit as well.
yeah, and
Yeah,
eh,
both of those guys being white. Uh, how do you say it? I mean, they're all on the same label, right? Like Psychopathic Records,
yeah.
I believe, and they all put face paint on, and they all probably didn't fuck with Eminem. That's for sure. But to
Yeah.
have them on a song is paying homage to their origins of being a rap group initially, talking more about digging graves for
Yeah.
bodies and a lot of the more horror type stuff that they did that later on would influence the likes of a Ghost Main or a Space Ghost Perp or a who's a group from New Orleans that you really love that wrote Paris.
Paris.
Dun
Uh,
dun 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 dun. You don't know who I'm talking about?
Now, why am I thinking about gigs?
No, no, no,
What is
no. You're
that
thinking
song?
of it's
Dude.
dude. All
Oh,
right, the
I mean,
Suicide Boys.
yeah,
Suicide Boys.
they're from. Are they from Florida?
They're either from New Orleans, Louisiana, or they're from Florida. They're from the South.
Oh,
That's for sure.
they're from New Orleans. I messed up
They're
on
from
that.
New Orleans.
But
Yeah,
yeah, you're absolutely right.
right.
You're absolutely
So
right.
so
Yeah.
this horrorcore type of sound, it it's never gonna be in Cali. So you know the fact that it existed in a place like Memphis and New Orleans, and New
Yeah.
Orleans. Talking about New Orleans, I was talking about Master P.
Yeah.
So that is interesting. And on top of that, the song Memphis had Young Buck, a very young Buck, who's from Nashville, who at the time probably was just starting off his career. I don't even think he had a hit record. I don't even know if he was on G Unit.
I gotta be honest with you. I didn't know that was Young Buck.
That was Young Buck, man. The other guys I don't know too much about. I do know UGK, Project Pat on Sipping on Some Scissor. Thinking about it, man, 3-6 and UGK should have just came out with a whole project on themselves, bro.
Shit, that would have been gangbusters, man. That that would have been the theme song for being on your fuck shit. You know, that would have been. I was gonna say Big Pimpin', but even Big Pimpin' is on brand with the lifestyle of a Pimp C and Bun B. You know what I mean? It's all
Yeah, and you know
partying,
what? Let's add a DJ Screw there too, man. Just fuck it. Three
right?
six, DJ Screw, UGK. That's
Yeah,
timeless,
it
bro.
was it was
That
pretty
is
punk rock.
timeless.
This album is punk rock as shit. If I think about just the elements of, sex, drugs, and rock and roll, man, that's really what this is, man.
Right. It's southern. It's punk. It's gangsta. It's crunk.
Mm, yeah, that's it, man. That's it. So,
Anyways, I guess we can go through your favorite tracks. I
man,
think we were surprised that there was only 2 music videos released. I think one for Tongue Ring, which isn't even one of my favorite tracks on this. To me, my two favorite songs, I'm gonna say "Who Run It,"
Mm.
and I'm gonna say "Sipping on Some Syrup." What's interesting is that the song is "Sipping on Some Scissorp," but it's released on the album as "Syrup," "Sipping on Some Syrup."
Yeah.
I wonder why that is, man. But
Commercial. You know what I mean? This is a commercially released album, right? It was I mean, I still
yeah,
think at the time they were under the pressures of, you know, like the parental advisory sticker might have just been invented around this time too. You know what I mean? After the trials that Luke had. You know what I mean? So,
yeah,
um,
it could be, man.
right. But
And that was a sample of Marvin Gaye's "Is That Enough" from his album "Hear My Dear."
where, what? What are you talking about?
The synthesizer, the keyboard.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Good
which is
catch.
crazy because I've heard that album a few times and I never picked that up.
Yeah. You know, I think I actually the only other song I only like two songs out this joint, and that was obviously Sipping on Syrup. But the other one was Touched with It. Do you remember how that sounds?
Sing it.
I don't. I don't remember how I don't remember the lyrics, but
Touched with
I
it.
what I think there's two features on it. Mr. Servon and Fiend and Lasha. I don't know if that's a French thing, but New Orleans, there's some French vibes in there. You know what I mean? But either way, there was a
Right.
dude on there. It sounded like Tupac. I had no clue who it was, but listening to that song reminded me of Tupac, which is pretty much a big reason why I like that song. Could be because I'm from the West Coast. But shout out to whoever was rapping on there like that. So that was tight.
Right. Right.
But
Yeah. All in all, I'm not gonna go out of my way and say I recommend going back to this, but I'm gonna say this was influential. This sold over 1 million records in the year 2000. That's a big deal
yeah,
for. I'm gonna even say, were they independent? They might no, maybe, maybe not, but they sure acted like an independent album,
yeah,
independent
yeah.
rap group. They had that aesthetic, that DIY aesthetic, and they kept things real. You know what I mean? No one's ever gonna question DJ Paul and Juicy J on whether they've kept it real all these years.
Right.
So
Part of me feels like they
yeah,
couldn't have been on a major label, man. I mean, literally the intro to Sipping on Syrup, you know what I mean? You got some pouring ass, sipping ass, you know what I mean?
yes, high ass.
Yeah, for real. Like
yeah,
you literally couldn't because they would have to redo every song, but a clean version of it. Because back then they were re-recording clean versions of songs, right? So that it can be
yeah,
played on the radio. So I don't know how they were able to pull that off if they were on a major label, but part of me feels like they were definitely more on the ground with this album. Um,
right.
but and yeah, and like you said, man, there isn't many songs here that you would say, yeah, I come back to this song. Besides maybe sipping on syrup.
But we come back to that song, sipping on some syrup, a lot.
Yeah, but the whole the style of production, we hear it today in so many songs. So whether or not you know it, you are listening to "When the Smoke Clears" by 36 Mafia, even if you're listening to, let's say, an ASAP Ferg song.
What do you think of DJ Paul? Just his style, because you know what? Maybe because he hasn't done too much production outside of Three
Right.
Six
So I
that
think.
we
Sorry, go
know too
ahead.
much about. I mean, I'm sure he's done some stuff. I mean, I've seen him on some Yellow Wolf.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I
One
mean,
of
the
his
dude didn't make a career off of producing for other people, so I guess
right. One of his
people
latest,
just don't really give him.
his biggest
Go ahead.
contributions was on the Scorpion album, right? For I think it's called Talk Up or something like that. Either way, yeah, he produced on the Scorpion album in 2018, and that was probably one of his most major placements as of lately. Um, but yeah, I mean, his sound, I think, is perfect for. Remember when motherfuckers had 4 15-inch subwoofers in their trunk? You know what I mean? Motherfuckers had a Honda Civic or even an Oldsmobile. You know what I mean? Uh, and or even a Crown Vic. You know what I mean? Throwing subs in the trunk. his production style is perfect for that setup, you know, and you slinging CDs out the back of the trunk. You got subs, you playing some DJ Paul production, you know, that's what his sound works well with. And if you listen to that song that he made on Drake's album, I mean, that's a real testament to his sound. The South loves the long 808. Love that. But yeah, you're right. I mean, he doesn't produce for a lot of people, but for some reason that sound is still out there in the airwaves heavily. People are reproducing that sound.
Right.
But him himself isn't producing for other people. And I mean I couldn't call it.
Right. I would say this was really the height of 36 Mafia's popularity, is with the songs like Sippin' on Some Scissor and I'm So High. I would say they were maybe the ASAP mob of their time, man.
Yeah, I would say that. Hell yeah. I mean, ASAP Mob, part of me feels like that whole aesthetic was from 3-6. I mean, some people would also say Bone Thugs too, just from the rap style. But I think their sound sounds more like Sip and Lean than this album. You know,
Right.
I made the connection earlier that this album, that Cushion OJ sounds like this. Well, it feels like this parts of this album. You know what I mean? Specifically, Sipping on
Right.
Syrup, but ASAP Mob really doubled down on. Ooh, I'm shipping. Ooh, all that
Which is a
slowness. You
screw
know?
thing, yeah.
Yeah. So it's a little bit more Houston, I would say, than a Memphis.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, that concludes my thoughts on the album.
So if you haven't heard this joint, man, go listen to it. Go pull up. Go sip. Go snort. You know, be on your fuck shit.
Play me some Pippin, man.
Thanks for listening, man. It's the Rap Geeks. It's Playback Appeal. Fuck with us, man.
Yes. Playback Appeal. Make sure you give us a follow on anywhere you get your podcasts at, whether it's Apple, whether it's Spotify, whether it's YouTube. Make sure you give us a subscribe. And if you enjoyed this and you're watching on YouTube, give us a comment below. What do you think of 3-6 Mafia? You think they're awesome? You think they're whack? We want to know. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Playback. And we out.